Even though I spend most of my time on my laptop, I do like to watch the TV sometimes, and I've been watching the Michael Mosley, been up, trying to keep myself updated on the Michael Mosley situation. And as you all know, he's been found, and I actually think that's a good thing. I'm glad that there has been a conclusion, unlike some other cases. And he was a health guru, a British health guru. He had a wife, he had kids. He lived a great life. He had a fulfilling life. Tributes are pouring in for him. It just so happens he went to Greece. I've been to Greece, the mainland, and a few of the other islands. Greece is a wonderful part of the world, but it does get very, very hot there. I've been to Athens and surrounding areas and some of the Greek islands. It's one of my favorite parts of Europe and favorite parts of the world. Lovely place, Greece, beautiful. It doesn't have a lot of vegetation though. It's more like a rocky. The islands are rocky. They're like built on a heat plate. It gets very hot, and it just so happens this guy took a stroll and he never came back. But let's celebrate his life and all the good work he did. He was a television personality. He was very popular. He built an empire, and he's going to leave a great legacy. A great legacy. It's unfortunate, of course. I'm not saying it isn't. And obviously, for his family, they're going to look at it differently. But at least there's been a conclusion. And apparently, it was natural causes. Well, that's what they're saying. But, a lot of people are going to speculate, theories will be made, and people will keep talking about it for a while and trying to, figure out what happened. But Greece is a beautiful holiday destination. It is. But it does get very hot there, and it was probably best he stayed in on that particular day and just sat in the shade. I woke up this morning to gloomy grey skies, and it was quite chilly. Now the skies are blue and it's sunny, and I actually would prefer that today. I'm not in the mood for grey, gloomy skies today. And I just started thinking about the south of France. France is a country I've visited so many times, and the interior of France is full of vineyards. The south coast, the French Riviera, is my favorite part. That Riviera, the beauty of that Riviera is unparalleled. It is so stunning, the French Riviera. It is stunning. I remember once I was driving down to Saint-Tropez. I wasn't driving, but I was being driven. And some of the towns and beachside vacations along the way, some of the beach towns along the way, they were so beautiful. I was literally rubbing my eyes, wondering if I was looking at a painting. France, this is so stunning. Particularly the Riviera. It's a stunning country. I do understand why France is the most visited country in the world. And people talk about Paris, how great Paris is. Paris is great, but I don't want to be in Paris for longer than 2 or 3 days. I'd rather be in the south of France. Anyway, let me get going with my podcast. Sandra Rzucek'S, as we all know, the mother of Shanan Watts, has a cooking channel, but for quite a while she hasn't really posted or been posting anything on that channel. And, I've heard reasons or theories as to why she hasn't, and I can totally understand because of the climate, the drama on YouTube, particularly surrounding the Watts case and her daughter. And she doesn't write, there's not a lot of activity on that channel, or there hasn't been. Certainly around the time that Bam was doing her live streams, there wasn't a lot of activity on Sandra's channel. And she has recently written a community post that Helen Chaffer shared. And I'm not going to read the whole post, but it basically talks about how she wants the rumors about her daughter to stop, and that Shanan was just a great person. And I'm just going to read parts of it, or paraphrase parts of the community post that she's written. I just wanted to let everyone know that my daughter was an amazing soul. She never spoke ugly of anyone. She never cursed. She never did of any kind. She never lied or stole from anyone. She was never arrested. She never had DSS called on her. She never cheated. Everything on the internet is untrue. I'm paraphrasing that. I could use the other word. Made up to get views and money from you. Um, my family was taught to respect others. We don't judge. It's not our place. Only God can judge his children. She was a great mother, a wonderful wife to the wrong person. I'm so sick of the bashing of my family. It's interesting because Bam had a real disdain for the R's, and particularly Sandra and Frankie. And, she shared these feelings with me. And it was so strong. And I honestly, truly believe that she used Shanan to get to them. Her disdain for them filtered out to her feelings towards Shanan. And I'm not, I'm not completely aware of all that's been said about Shanan online. I've been called a shiner many, many times. People don't really call me that anymore. Okay, some of the nicknames that I have had since I've been on YouTube. I actually have fun with all the for all the names that people have called me. Let's see, Sincast, Shanan with a tan. Yes, I've been called Shanan with a tan. I've been called NK Junior, Slim Fast, Skin Fast, Sim Tit, Sim Boob, and many other things. And I ride with all of them, I just laugh. Um, and in the past, I've been called a shiner. And Justin used to call me the busty shiner. And that name was given to me by not by Justin, but by somebody else. But Justin really used to say that quite a lot. I actually have clips of him actually calling me that. But so I was called a shiner because I always tried to be respectful of Shanann's legacy, and I to this day, and I do remember that Bam wanted me to make videos of Shanan that were unflattering and untoward Shanan, and I never ever was going to do that. That doesn't mean to say that I think that Shanan was a perfect person, but I think it's time to let Shanan rest in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. And yeah, I think it's good that her mother has come out and defended her legacy. And that doesn't mean to say that people can't discuss Shanan. It doesn't mean that people can't critique, but I think that it did go too far for me personally. And some people are not going to agree with me on that, and that's fine. I'm allowed to have my opinion just as you are. Um, Most of you will know who Miss Mensa is. She is the complete opposite of Sandra Rzucek. She's no relation of Shanan whatsoever. And while as a mother, Sandra Rzucek thinks her daughter was beautiful, wonderful, caring, nurturing, kind, sweet, Miss Mensa thinks the opposite of Shanan, and I think she was probably one of the first creators to speak out, you know, as opposed to the glorifying views of Shanan. I mean, she's very just like Bam had a disdain for the R's. Miss Mensa has a similar kind of disdain for Shanan. For some reason, Miss Mensa isn't posting as much as she used to. I don't know if it's because Star Mama left her channel and is now pallying with somebody else, her nemesis. But she actually Miss Mensa wrote a community post about Bam about a month ago, claiming that she was unaware of Bam, what had happened with Bam. And she almost kind of wrote, and I'm not going to read the whole community post, but I find this a lot with people in regard to Bam. They really don't understand the type of person who Bam was, and they make these um, statements about Bam almost as a kind of um, glorification of Bam. Um, So anyway, I'm going to read parts of Miss Mensa's post, and I'm going to tell you what I have to say about it. And this was written about a month ago, a community post by Miss Mensa, who is no fan of Shanan. I just heard about Bam, and I'm going to paraphrase some of it. And I just have to say, I feel sad about it. She and I weren't friends at all, but over time, she did gain my respect. Um, Now, I think that Miss Mensa is referring to the fact that Bam was basically repeating and emphasizing the same sentiments or the same ideas that Miss Mensa had about Shanan. You know, she was basically saying a lot of the same things that Miss Mensa had been saying for years, and I think this is why Miss Mensa um, thinks somehow that Bam was one of the good ones. Well, I can tell you for sure, Miss Mensa, that you might be paying tribute to her. You might pay tribute to Bam, and you might think she was a wonderful person, and that's your right to think that. But I can say with complete certainty that she did not feel the same way about you, and I have proof of that. Um, Bam saw herself as better than everybody else. She thought she was better in every way. And in terms of intellect, she thought that she was the smartest woman in the room. And she saw everybody pretty much as idiots. And that's what that's how she felt about people. She was always smarter than everybody else. She had more qualifications. She was more intelligent. She was more of an intellect. She thought she was better than everybody else. And I can guarantee you that the feelings that you have towards her, she didn't share. She actually told me that you'd spoken to her on the phone once. I don't know if this is true because she embellished a lot of things, so I don't know if this is true or not. And she basically scoffed at the idea that you claim to be of a certain in a certain profession, and she basically scoffed at that idea. Um, she didn't have the same reverence for you as you did for her in that community post. And I can prove that, but I'm not going to do that because I don't think it's necessary. I think a lot of people are actually quite confused or incorrect about who Bam actually was and is. And yeah, you might think that people who have criticized her or critiqued her since what happened, you might think that they are wrong. But the same way you do Shanan is the same way. I think actually people have had more respect for her legacy than what you've shown for Shanan and what Bam showed for Shanan. Quite honestly, and if you're going to be saying that we should all have reverence for Bam or we should all respect her legacy and her memory, well, you didn't do the same thing for Shanan, did you? So it just kind of just sounds a little bit hypocritical. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. I could read more of what Miss Mensa wrote, but she seems to allude to the fact that Bam contacted her to apologize for anything that she might have said untoward Miss Mensa. I don't know if this is true or not, but what I do know is that Bam was no fan of you, Miss Mensa. She wasn't a fan of anyone. She was just not a pleasant individual at all. And she had more resentment towards people, as time went on. Um, so you might think that Bam had the same opinions of you, or you might think that Bam, you might have reverence for her because she had the same opinions about you in terms of Shanan, but she didn't hold you in the same esteem that you're holding her in, and that's what I want to say about that.